delighted to be joined by my friend John Howard because he's an absolutely awesome person to talk to get the lowdown on what's happening in the property sector. And John, we're at the beginning of 2024. Well, I'm interested to know what you think, but I think it's got off to a fairly positive start with stabilization of the market, more buyers coming into the market, and rates dropping, and certainly buy-to-let products becoming more competitive. What's your view? Are the lights mostly on green for landlords in 2024?
Well, you've got a very sunny disposition, Vanessa, haven't you, of the market so far? I would say that we're amber to green. I don't think we're on green, but I think we're, when you're at the lights and it's amber and then it turns to green, I think we're at that stage. I think we've got to be a bit careful. There's going to be a general election this year, of course. And when normally in a general election year, things slow down a little bit towards the election. I think that'll be November. So I think we've got a bit of time to make some hay while the sun shines, as it were, before then. Interest rates, I'm not as convinced as everybody that they're going to suddenly come down. I can see them coming down perhaps towards the second half of the year. But of course, we've got a general election, so that might hold them up a bit. Certainly, I would agree with you. The first few weeks of this year, we've certainly seen a lot more optimism in the market. I would agree with that. But we've also got to remember there's 2.4 million people coming off fixed rate mortgages, and that includes the buy-to-let landlords. So that's a lot of people who are going to be paying double what they're paying now at the moment. So that is going to have an effect on the market. Now, remember, in every election year, whoever's in government starts to give things away. One of the things they might give away is the Help to Buy scheme. They might decide, and there's rumours that they're going to bring back the Help to Buy scheme with a 1% deposit for first-time buyers. Now, if they do that, that could be a game changer in the market, especially if it's not just for new developments, it's for the whole of the market, because that would make a massive, massive difference. And one of the reasons is because only 10% at the moment of people under 50 are likely to vote Conservative. So they need to change that dramatically. One way they think they can change it potentially is offering 1% deposit mortgages for first-time buyers.
Well, also maybe to reverse Section 24, because there's been a meeting this week at Westminster called by council leaders from all over the country, and they are telling the governments at this meeting that the burden of trying to house people is absolutely decimating their budgets, and many of them are heading towards bankruptcy because they've got so many people in temporary accommodation, which obviously costs the taxpayer much more than housing somebody in private sector accommodation provided by
Vanessa, you're absolutely right. They're in a terrible state. And one thing the government have done, they have given a grant to many councils who've got a planning permission backlog. Planning department. So they have given grants available. They've made grants available to these councils so they can cut down or get rid of their backlog of council applications. So that's one good sign that's coming out of things at the moment. Whether they're going to listen to the councils about not having any money and all the rest of it, and Section 24, they need to. So let's hope they take some advice.
Well, I hope so, because there's such a disconnect between central government and their policies and what local government is actually experiencing in terms of their housing waiting lists. And, they have to discharge much of their obligations into the private sector because they don't have enough social housing, and they are fighting a losing battle. I mean, we're hearing of waiting lists of, thousands and thousands and thousands and years and years and years on these waiting lists. It's never been sustainable, but it is actually coming, to a head now, I think. So I don't hold out any hope that Section 24 will get reversed, but You never know. But anyway, I just want to just jump back to, you said I was optimistic. Actually, I am actually, because it's from personal experience that's happened early in the new year. I've rented a one-bed flat in London, and I think within by noon on the first day it was on the portals, I had 47 applications,
Unbelievable, isn't
and
it?
I rented it at the full
Yeah,
uh, rent
yeah.
to a very good quality applicant. So I'm very
Mm,
happy about that. Tenant demand is at an all-time high, and I have just done a remortgage, and I got quite a good rate actually,
mm.
4.64, I think it was, not
That's
too
very
bad.
good. That's very
So,
good.
there's good things for me, I hope for others as well. But,
Mm.
in your portfolio, oh, by the way, I haven't got any rent arrears at all. So I'm touching wood as I say that. But I mean, how are things across your portfolio, John? Have you got any rent arrears or anything like that?
The rental market it does differ depending where you are in the country. I mean, we're doing developments in Scotland, in Wales, and also in England, and certainly near Birmingham. We've got a country house that we bought, which we've added some planning to it and bits and bobs. And we've got 12 flats there. We've refurbished them. We had all of them to rent in September, and we've still got 3 more to let yet.
Oh,
So the demand isn't always as great as it is in London, and that's what people must, they must appreciate if they're buying up north to it, or anywhere outside the south of England. Really, the demand for housing is not quite so great. And these flats are very nice. They're in the countryside a little bit, and I think that's the problem. They're not in the centre of a town, but they're very nice in 2 acres of ground. And you would have thought they'd have let much quicker than they have. But there we go. So you just never quite know. You never quite know.
oh, well, that's interesting to hear that. We're starting in a new year, as we said. Are you going to focus on any one particular strategy that you think is going to be good for this year, or are you continuing to do your kind of mixed bag? Because you do all sorts of things
Mm,
like care homes, getting planning
mm,
permission, doing listed properties,
mm.
doing complete from the ground up new build. I mean, you have quite an extensive number of projects on the go at any one time, don't you? And do you see something being more profitable than something else in 2024?
But most of the properties we've bought in the last 18 months, 2 years, have been through receivers. So we're distressed stock. So we're going to continue with that. We've got a number of distressed stock sites that we're looking at the moment. I like commercial, and I don't mean commercial to residential. I mean commercial, because I think that's been overlooked a lot. Everyone's obsessed with converting it to residential, but of course, just because you can do it doesn't always mean you should. And actually, there's a lot of commercial buildings around now which are looking very, very cheap. And if you can re-let them, or if they're partly let already, getting them fully let at sensible rents with the economy, you know, which I don't think the economy is too bad, to be fair. Every time I go to the airport to fly to Scotland to look at my developments we're doing, the airport's absolutely packed any time of the day or night. It amazes me, but I don't think the economy's too bad. And actually, I'm very happy to buy vacant commercial in order to find tenants and then refinance it.
Okay, well that's really, really interesting. As you know, I'm a very, very vanilla, low risk, just standard buy to let person.
Very sensible, Vanessa. Very sensible.
We've got
We
standard
are.
buy to lets, we've got a couple of holiday lets, but you know,
Yeah.
I'm often in awe of people like you because you do such challenging projects. And I'm just wondering, have you got any advice for somebody that thinks they might be just ready to jump up a level and just take that little bit of extra kind of risk and try
Mm.
something a bit more, high risk for higher reward? How do they take that step?
Well, I think they have to be very careful because I think it is a big step, and it's also more risky. Although we obviously look to try and de-risk a deal before we actually buy it, so it's not as people think property developers are all about risk and this, that, and the other. It's calculated risk, and I would say we try and de-risk things as much as possible. I don't do many seminars. I do a little bit of mentorship, as you know, but I don't do a lot of that either. But I do a few seminars a year because I like to pass on my knowledge, but I'm busy doing my own things. But if they go to my website, I've got a few dates where I'm doing seminars, and we cover a lot of the cover in my seminar is about stepping up and doing bigger deals. So if anyone's interested in that, it's probably a good investment, shall we say.
Well, 100%. And we've done another little video about John's upcoming seminar program for 2024, and I'll link to it from this video. There's definitely opportunity out there, isn't there, for people that are going to get educated, who are going to look. And you mentioned de-risking a deal. Could you just explain that actual process in a few words? Because I assume you mean by doing kind of very intense due diligence.
Yes, I think once you've agreed to buy the deal and it's in solicitor's hands, you've got, an opportunity, a 4-week or 6-week opportunity to really delve down into the detail and investigate every part of that deal to sort of cut off issues that could be issues going forward, like utilities, for instance. In Cambridgeshire at the moment, there's not enough water. So there's people who have managed to get planning on their developments, but they can't do them because they can't get the water supply to them, because they're doing a new system all coming all the way down from the north. So, do your research, make sure that if it's got planning permission, you can actually build what they've got planning for. And preconditions, all the conditions, planning conditions that need to be sorted out. Make sure they're possible to be sorted out. There's lots and lots of work to do between agreeing a deal and actually exchanging contracts.
Mm. Would you say that two of the must-haves in the current environment, this is just my opinion, are parking and a garden? I think those, certainly for family homes, those are the two most important things. And would you add energy efficiency to that? Are you kind of future-proofing all your developments for energy efficiency?
Well, the local authorities make you future-proof that sort of thing. But what I would say, I hear people saying, "Oh, I'm going to get 20% more for my house because it's a modular house and it's carbon neutral and all this business." I don't think many valuers see it like that, and I don't think many buyers see it like that either. So you can put all the carbon neutral in you want, but I think you still want to value it as if it's a traditional home. I don't think you're getting an extra 20% because it's cheaper to run at the moment. And I do hear that a lot from developers, and I would be very, very cautious to take that advice that it's going to be worth a lot more because it's got, it's carbon neutral and energy efficient. I think it might be worth more, and it's a bonus if it is, but please don't take it as read.
So let's just wind up by talking about your year ahead, John. You've got your seminar dates in March, June and November. Are you going to be out and about at some of the property shows? Where can we meet you down the property trail?
Yes, I will be about. I get asked to speak at a number of events, which I really enjoy the events. We've got the Property Elevator Series 7. I can't believe we've got to Series 7 without falling out, but we have. So we've got Series 7 we're filming shortly, actually, and that will be out later on in the year. There's obviously the big property events that I get invited to speak at quite often as well. But if anyone's interested to see where I'm going to be, if they go to my website, then I normally try and put up where I'm going to be in the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks. So, and please, if you do come and say hello, because it's all about contacts and meeting people and doing deals.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining me back here on Property Tribes TV, John.
It's a pleasure, Vanessa.
It sounds like you're going to be a very busy property bee, as always, in 2024. And I hope to meet you at one of the events. We'll be at the Property Investor Show at Excel, and at the Landlord Investment Show, and some of the other big events around the country. So, I'll look forward to seeing you in person, John.
That'll be great. We'll catch up then.